Well, hello, hello. Today we are in for a treat. We have a wonderful guest named Cassie. We had some technical hiccups in the beginning of the trying to get going. That's where it just seems abrupt and we're running right out of the gate. Is because like we kind of like had to wait 15 minutes to figure out everything. But I learned a lot from this. I hope you all pick up some great insights. And let's go.
Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
So how's your day going so far other than the Zoom hiccup?
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah. It's just been awesome. I've been working on some fun social media, so that's fun.
Nice. Well, are you doing like a new campaign or just like some content for it?
Just content. I joined this viral content club. And so every first of the month, they put out new templates. Yeah. So it's just fun to work on.
It is. So it gets interesting at times. For me, it's like it gets to multiple layers and I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure if I can do that.
Yeah. How about you? How's your day?
So far, so good. Had yesterday off and just kicking it, working around my room, and was waiting for you to come in.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we got that figured out. I've never, I don't know what that was, but it works now.
It works now. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So tell me a little about yourself, like what you do for like your coaching. You teach like law of attraction, right?
Yep. I teach law of attraction, money manifesting. Is where most people get started. And then we move on into future self-work and really creating the life that you want. So I work 5 years out. So we do money manifesting, and then you do a workshop that's all about getting in touch with your future self in 5 years and in that life that you want to be living. And then just keep stepping into that life.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. So other than social media, how do you get some of your clients for this?
Mostly. So I have books on Amazon.
Okay.
I have 7, I believe, at this point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then podcasts, like our podcast. So I have 2 podcasts. I have one with a friend that we just talk law of attraction and living it. And then I have one where I interview my clients about their journey. And we kind of record it along the way. And so that's where a lot of them come from, either my books or my podcast.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I had this one like couple last year during the heat of the lockdowns. We're like, oh yeah, they're like, we get a lot of our clients through our books. And I'm like, I just politely, I'm like, people still read like that? I'm like, all of it's like TikTok and YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting, but I got, especially like this week, I mean, I've gotten, because I always have them fill out a form, and this week, a ton of books. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So like what website do you use for your customer relationship management?
Kajabi.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you? What do you do?
Kartra.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to say like as for coaching.
Yeah. Or what do you do in addition to your podcast, or what makes you do your podcast?
So right now I'm waiting for like a business card to come in, but I'm building a website for teaching others how to like build a podcast step by step I call it like the 0 to hero method. And I've had a lot of people within like the last month, like ask me to come on their show to pick my brain for free, because they were thinking like it was going to be a $500 to $1,000 call. And I'm like, I wasn't thinking that high for pricing, but now that I know you were scared about it, I'll price it that high.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, they were like, they just wanted to pick my brain on shows about how to start the show. And they're like, you did this for a year. You have 160 guests under your belt. How did you do it? I'm like, well, I'm just stubborn. I don't know when to admit defeat. That's the biggest trait right there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I totally get that.
The another one a lot of people I've been working with is like leading with empathy and compassion compared to the old like 1930s regime of like, you're a number to be ground. You're just don't think, I think for you kind of thing. I said that never worked to begin with, but it especially is now not working now. This one guy, I went on his show. He was picking my brain on the podcasting, and then went to that. And he's like, well, what do you do? I'm like, honestly, I said, I'll just give you the roadmap of, we're humans. Like, you forget that at times as a manager, when you buy food for your coworkers, the pizza or the taco guy, you get to have that too. As the higher up CEO, you forget what that is.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll show you the map to remember that we're all human. You can't run us like robots.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's what I'm working on, those two right now. I keep getting the most requests for it. So I'm like, okay. And I was just curious for you, like, wait, how are you getting all your clients? Because like I'll kind of like take a note and work on something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can, well, I'll just send it to you after.
Okay.
I'll send you all my books, and what you can see if you really look at Manifest 10,000, especially is it's like, I give you the formula, but then it's like, oh, if you want to do it with somebody, you can come do it in the program where it's literally mapped out every single thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the book is, driven for the person who, because people use Amazon and books just like Google, right? So when that quick Google answer or that TikTok answer doesn't work, or you're like, it works a little bit, but now I need more, people go find a book. And the book is a great place to showcase all of the knowledge that you have and to really put yourself as that expert, right? And then you just lead it so that somebody can take it and do it on their own if they want. But if they haven't been successful doing stuff on their own, they can join you as a coach or join your program, whatever it is.
Right. Yeah. My one like online mentor who's been helping me like figure out SEO and all that. I was actually joking with him over the weekend. I said, okay, so my name's Josh Bolton. There's the one guy that was like a rep for Trump. His name's Josh Bolten.
Oh.
Ten. Well, he didn't buy his own domain name of joshbolten.com.
Yeah.
I bought it for $12, and if he wants it back, it's cost him $1,000.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But I keep getting a lot of traffic because now his name is associated with me.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those, I told him like, okay, now I'm a little greedy. And now I'm like third rank. If you look up my name or the general concept of Josh Bolton, I'm the third down. I'm like, how do I beat the White House guy? And he's like, that might cost you a lot of money though. I'm like, okay, how do we beat WikiPage? He's like, again, that's probably gonna cost you a lot of money. I'm like, I'm not there yet, but when I am, you'll be getting a call.
I love it.
But that's the thing. He is essentially told us, he's like, create content, explain everything. He actually within the last 2 weeks pretty much said like 1990s free, like everything for the internet. Like he was saying in the 90s, I could look up people's emails and the likes and dislikes. I'm like, oh, there was no security back then.
Right. Yeah.
But he said Yahoo was the ranking thing you wanted to get on. Mm-hmm. So he literally did an hour seminar, taught everyone Yahoo. And they were just saying, they approached him, they cornered him and said, how much? 10, 20,000? And he's like, I just told you how to do it. Why are you wanting me to do it?
Right. Yeah. Because we don't have, if we, we want to get result, because even though we teach it, like, it's like you can teach the 4 steps, but then there's sort of like in between steps, right? That if you don't know, and and so I think when people have done it themselves enough, they realize, oh, I should get help with this. It's not working on my own. I've tried 6 different ways on my own. I could just hire someone to help me.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that's kind of like for him, I was like, I wanted to figure out how to structure things, how to get things, get at least somewhat established on the internet. Because when I started this show, you looked at my name, I was on like the 7th or 8th page back.
Yeah.
Now I'm like ranking first page, but that's because of him. And I'm like, honestly, if I didn't pay you your like super low insurance rate of $30 a month, like, I don't think I'd be where I am today.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it was just one of those, So for your manifesting and your law of attraction, I've had a lot of people come on and they always spin a different. What is your take on how it works, the system for law of attraction and all that?
I go back to always my 8th grade science, like attracts like. So, and like is not want. It's not what we want, right? It's who we're being in the world. It's we attract the things that are most like us because like attracts like. So, when someone says they want to manifest something, I work with money. That's where I start. I like using money because it's easy to keep score. It's easy to start tracking it versus, like love or relationships might be a little bit harder to track in the beginning. But if it's, I want to manifest money, we start so I start with $10,000 because when I started, it would just be money. And what I found is that, first of all, 10,000 was kind of an average number that would make a big difference in people's life, right? It might not get you everywhere, but it will change the way that you're living. And I also found that people who are like, oh, I want to manifest $1 million in 90 days, like your brain can't handle that because that's too far different. Unless you have $800,000 in the bank and you want to go to $1 million in 90 days, that's too far off of who you're being. So the like attracts like it's too far. The distance is too far. So we start with $10,000. And then we really focus on becoming who is someone with 10,000 more dollars and expand from there. And once you've got 10, we open it up and we start attracting more and more. And then eventually we do move to who am I when I have $1 million? But we start at that place because the law of attraction is about attracting who you're being more than what you're wanting.
That's good. I've not heard it that way before.
Awesome.
I've had a lot of explain it as this another lady came on and she's like, you can literally manifest anything. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure I can't manifest a flying pig. And it was just one of those. And she's like, well, okay, other than that, I'm like, all right, you're being a little too general with that. But I like how you explain it. That's a good, energy attracts energy, frequency attracts whatever. That's good. So I'm going to say for me, my biggest one was getting 10K and I saved that up during 2020 finally. But I'm going to say, what is the biggest thing when people come to you and say, oh, they want this, but it's really what's that deep underlying one that you help uncover?
So in a broader sense, I used to say this a lot and it's true, is you want the dream that you're even scared to admit to anyone else. And that's different for everyone. Okay. Right. So for some people that's freedom. For some people that's a different love story. For some people that's, being able to walk away from their job. But what everyone wants is to create a life that they love generally and feel happy and free in that life. And most probably if we get to the deepest core of that, it's being who they really are and being able to have that, feel that freedom, to shed all the armor and be that and to show up like that in the world without fear of what's going to happen or, judgment or their mom saying this or someone on the street saying this, but to really just show up who they are and get to live their happy life that they want. That's not what someone else wants or what they've been told to want.
True. Very true. I'm just thinking for me, I always wanted to be I was a kid. I was dreaming big. I wanted to be like Indiana Jones or 007, get myself in these cool adventures, like explosions and doves flying away. Now I realize that's Hollywood, but the idea though, if I want to go down to Egypt for a week, I have plenty of cash flow. I'm not worried. I said, it's not full on driving Aston Martins into the ocean, but it is still adventurous.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it ties into that. I love that you bring up childhood because I think, people say it a lot, or I've heard it, but really when those things that made us happy when we were kids are a lot of times what make us happy as adults. And, as a kid, you wait for the day. I have this conversation with 7-year-old, I'm like, when you're an adult, you can make that choice. You have to go to school and you can choose when you're an adult, what are you going to do? But we wait for that day to be able to choose. And then we don't choose. people, oh, well, I got to go to college, or I have to get this job, or I have to do this, instead of utilizing that freedom that you've been waiting for literally all your life since you were a kid. We choose to fall into these default places. We choose to follow someone else's version of success.
Mm-hmm. No, very true. Like for me, I guess it would be the Indiana Jones craziness. Right after high school, I took a year off of just everything. And then on my 19th birthday, I started working for the martial arts studio I've been at for at that time, 8-ish years. And I learned a lot about sales and all that. And, but the thing I liked was, I could come and go whenever I chose. And if I wanted more money, well, obviously I needed to do a couple extra, like cold calling, handing out flyers. But that was my choice. It wasn't like my instructor saying, you have to do this kind of thing. And it's one of those, I tasted freedom for a minute, but then the good old, all right, Josh, that's nice, but you got to get a real job now came into play. And now I'm sort of like, okay, the real job thing sucks. I don't want it anymore.
Right. I want to go back to that. Yeah. I get that. I manifested my financial freedom and the ability to leave my job. And for me, that meant leaving a 6-figure salary
That's
to
hard.
live on. Yeah. And I could pay my bills. So I was living on about $24,000 a year. And happily, when I quit my job, I loved life. That didn't feel like a struggle to me. In fact, I didn't even realize I was living on that little until one day I was inspired to be because I had made investments in properties. So I was like, I wonder how much I actually lived on this year. Yeah. And when I looked that up, I was like, man, I've had a great life for that. And so then it was easier to leave because I had let go of all the things that I didn't want to spend money on or what didn't make me fully happy. And had that income and left my 6-figure job. But that's a big deal, especially I was 32 and, that I had my career path set out for me because I had a boss who was set to retire in about 10 years. And she had been priming me for 5 years to take over her position. And so that was set.
Yeah. When I'm assuming you would have taken that position, it's more like C-suite area. So it'd be almost double or triple what you were making.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. But it would have been more miserable too.
Yeah. I wanted my freedom, when I calculated what is my freedom worth, that I get to decide when I get up and what I do, that was worth it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. To just say, I feel like sleeping in an hour and you don't have to be on it. And you're like, oh, I got to get in then traffic, at least here in California, just go down the 2 streets. It's 20 minutes extra.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here going wait, I literally could have walked here faster. But, so that's interesting. So you just literally survived off 20 to 25,000 for the whole year, running your business and expenses. That's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome. And then that gave me the freedom to build the business that I have today, because it became very clear to me that I couldn't build my business when I was working, because I probably worked 50 hours a week. I was exhausted. There wasn't time for when I leveraged the law of attraction. For me, that involves a lot of space and being able to follow the flow instead of pushing. And when I was at my job, I was always pushing because it's oh, you have this amount of time after work to get this done. You got to push here. You have to get this thing done. You have to get the SEO done. You have to get all of these things done. Right. And, I wanted that space to build my business.
Oh, 100%. For me, it's funny. Everyone at my job site currently, they're all complaining because at least where we are in Southern California, there's the Great Resignation's having its 3rd wave of people just leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And pretty much for me, I just said, hey, you know what? Cut me to the bare bones minimum. I just need X amount of hours per week for health insurance until I can afford my own. I said, I'm fine. And everyone else is we can't do that, Josh. I'm like, gives me more time to read books, study, build my website. So it's actually speeding me up really fast compared to what you guys are. You're all going home playing your Rust or World of Warcraft, and I'm over here trying to build a business online.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing. They joke, but they can't say it like, oh, he's a overnight like success. They've been watching me.
Mm-hmm.
That's where one of them, like recently within the last 3 weeks, like, dude, something's gonna hit, it's gonna take off, and you're just gonna kind of be like, all right, I'm out. It pays way more to be behind my computer doing this than come here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just that's where he said, dude, whenever you hit that, like, let's go get a lunch. I'm like, sure, on me.
Awesome.
So then I'm just curious, how long are your books? Like, is it like a novel, like 30,000 words, or is it more like under 10,000?
I would say they are around 20,000. They're about an hour read.
Okay.
So the ones that have New York publisher, they turn them over and they actually put like it's an hour and 3 minutes or something. And what's interesting is I always wanted to write shorter books. So that was the perfect for me. And that's actually the trend in the industry. When I got my New York publishing deal, he's like, nobody wants these longer books because people don't read longer, because we do have access to the internet, right? And we want to know the thing we want to know now. And so we don't need, 500 pages and to learn about all aspects. We want sort of the step that's right now. And then we'll go get the next step and the next step versus having it all in one book. And that's really what I wanted, because when I had read books, by the time I could finish the book, I forgot the beginning, and what I was supposed to do in the beginning. I could get the concept, but the actual to apply it, by the time it was over, it was like, oh, by the time I got through it with the job and everything else, reading a little bit each night, it felt hard to implement. And so I wanted to write a book that could be like read on a plane ride and you could get off and start implementing it.
Yeah, that's about between an hour to 4 hours, depending where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm in Denver, so a lot of places are between 1 and 2.
There we go.
I live in the middle of the country. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's one big trend I've been hearing. I have there's one author, he did it because he just like to fulfill his inner child. He wanted to write a big novel.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I get like a weird dyslexia when I read stuff, like visually reading.
Uh-huh.
If you actually like speak it and I can hear you talking, I said, I'll listen to like the 10, 15 hour thing. I said, but if you make me read it, you're going to lose me after like the first page.
Yeah.
And that's where he pretty much did. He recorded it, posted on Amazon, not Kindle, Audible. Uh-huh. And he said he's actually making more money. I'm like, yeah, because guys like me, like, we'll read for like 10, 15 hours, but we're not going to actually read it. You tell us, kind of thing. Yeah,
definitely. Different types of learners.
Oh yeah. And then especially with how like a lot of the trends are going, off an article I read, you could probably confirm it. Amazon's cut their Kindle rate again.
I'm not sure. I don't pay a lot of attention to the rate because I'm more interested in the clients I get so getting a client who reads my book is way more profitable than getting a ton of readers. So True. I really write I don't pay attention to that because it's not where, for me, that's just my business strategy. For other people, it's about selling a lot of books and that's their strategy. But for me, it's about giving people who are looking for what I have the option to read it. And that's way more profitable than selling and trying to sell a bunch of books.
So do you offer like a free email lead magnet on your website, or is it just all through Amazon?
So I actually, I have now trained facilitators. There is a free, you don't even have to, if you want to get my Identify Your Money Story, you can go to identifyyourmoneystory.com and it's a free download. Doesn't even require your email. Because I want, if you download it and you read it, then you can opt in and say, oh yeah, I want to know more about these money stories, or I want to join Manifest 10K. But I love giving people that up front. But then there's also, I have started training facilitators because I got I'm too full of a client load. And so I have abundance facilitators now, and they've taken over the pay after you manifest. So I actually have a program where I work with people. You have to apply, but I'll let you take my program, Manifest 10K. And instead of paying $2,000 up front or $1,000 up front, you agree to pay 10% of what you manifest. So if while you're in the program, you manifest $500, you pay $50. You manifest $10,000, you pay $1,000. You win the lottery and you win $1 million after taxes, you pay $50,000.
I like that. Okay. Now I have a genuine question for that.
Yeah.
How do you facilitate that? Because that is a very trust-based system, unless there is like a contract they have to sign.
And you sign, you're going to pay 10%. I don't believe it's my job to go after that. I set out the parameters every month. If you're in the program, you submit a form and you make your payment. And I know some people don't make the payment. And for me, that's a debt they're going to have to settle with the universe. I trust the universe is always taken care of. I trust my own abundance vibe and the money that I tracked, that I don't have to go chase anyone, that the people who are meant to be with me and who make the payment show up and make the payment. And what's interesting is that I was thinking about this client this morning. She got a book deal. She was a sci-fi writer, and she got a book deal, but she didn't pay for, I want to say, like a year. But when she paid, everything opened up, and it was part of her own money story and her own money journey to let go of that money and to trust and all of that. And when she did, things got even better, of course, but I don't need to go make sure everyone's doing it. That's like when you sign that, I think it's a contract, right? I'm not going to hold it up legally, but it's like you sign a contract between me, you, and the universe. And if you don't uphold that, you're going back to the beginning. What is the law of attraction? Like attracts like. What are you attracting? Right. And I believe the universe, that all gets washed out. I don't have to worry about it. I just have to mind my own money vibe, because money is always flowing to me.
That's good. Yeah, I would say for me, I've been burned one too many times on the whole trust and hope system. So I'm more regime like, okay, you owe this much. Do you need me to chunk out the payments longer kind of thing, instead of like X amount, we make it like $10 a month for the next whatever. Yeah, cause I got burned way too many times doing that.
Yeah. And it becomes, for me, and this is what I teach, and it's being a representation of what I teach. I trust I'm always taken care of. I trust money's always flowing in. If it flows in from pay after you manifest clients, awesome. If it flows in from, whatever else random, a different inspired idea, that's awesome.
Okay. I would say you're very trusting. I would not be doing, like I said, I would not be doing that. So then tell me like your last 5 years of journey. I'm assuming it's 5 to 10 years is when this whole story has begun.
Yeah. So my 8th anniversary of leaving my job was last November.
Okay.
November 1st is my freedomversary. So that was 8 years. For the first year, I just followed inspiration. I actually wrote the course, which is now Manifest 10K, Money, Money, Money. It came to me on a whim before I quit my job. I outlined it. And when I quit my job, I was like, I need to do this course, because even though I have enough money, I could feel just kind of my money mindset having a little bit of chatter. So I wrote the course, then I did it and I launched it. I had 170 people in it. It was the most I'd ever made in my coaching business. I've been trying to build my coaching business for probably the 8 years prior to that.
Okay.
And it was the most money I ever made. And then I started writing books, and I was inspired to add the future self work and the future self workshop. And so there was lots of iterations. Used to do the future self by yourself. And what's really happened in the last 3 to 4 years is opening back up pay after you manifest. And you get access to coaching with that. So when you do Manifest 10K, you get coaching, and then you get to decide, do I want to stay and open up to my future self work? And then you make a 5-year commitment. So over the last 5 years, it's 2022, 2017. Yeah, things have shifted and grown in a way that I feel like there were different iterations of my business I had to go through to get to this point. This feels like it's it. Like this is the way. I basically, you can start pay after you manifest. You can, you do manifest 10K and then you say, I'm into this for 5 years. And people have to commit for 5 years if they want to do future self work with me, because it takes time to grow. I think that we can learn some things 6 weeks at a time, but what I've seen from my clients is really growing and creating a life. It takes a commitment to that life versus trying to get that instant, oh, tomorrow this will be different. Oh, I'm going to chase this other thing. I'm going to chase this other thing. It takes that long-term commitment. So, and then I was inspired and needed to train abundance facilitators. So my first one started coaching January 1st in my business. And I've created a really amazing system that feels really good to them, really good to me. My intention is that 5 years after they start coaching, they're making $100,000 working less than 15 hours a week.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm just curious, and what is the business aspect of it? Do they work under you, or is it they are more like in tandem, but they are separate too?
It's more in tandem. They have their own clients, their own group, but it's all under my business. Okay. So, yeah.
So just curious, do you take a percentage for facilitating all that for them?
I do, because they're using my program. So there's a percentage that when we're working, they get a percentage for coaching. There's a percentage that goes to serving our clients. We do some events and that are fun. And so there's a percentage that goes to that. There's a percentage that we use to build different things, invest in podcasts, right? Producing our podcast. My coaches also have to have a podcast where they interview their clients, the same as that option was given to them. So producing the podcast, writing their books, they write a book every year. All of those investments that move our business forward and continue to reach out and introduce us to new people. So there's a percentage that goes to that. And there's a percentage that goes to me, because I invested 8 years in creating this program and writing it, in the hundreds of thousands of words, literally. And there's over 1,300 assignments, I think.
Oh, wow.
In the 5-year course. Yeah. We give people 20 minutes of an assignment to do every day. And so, yeah, there's over 13. So a percentage goes because they're using the course.
So I'm just curious for me, what's the take that you get from it? Cause that is a lot of time.
Yeah. It's the same as theirs. It's basically like we take out the investments and it's a 50-50 split. Oh,
50-50. That was what I was going for.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. But yeah, like you said, you did facilitate you did all the hard work up front. They're just getting all the credit in the end. So it's like you want some kickback.
Yeah. I could have this is the way it was called to make it work. Right. And I didn't want to train. People had asked me for years, would you train coaches? And my answer was no, because my program works. I don't want to train a coach that then is going to go try and create something else that works. We already know this system works. It's been proven to work. We have tons of evidence that it works, data that it works. And so it took me a while to be able to see how it could work together. And my coaches are happy about that because I've created it. So yeah, they start out working like 6 to 8 hours a week. And they build up, and 5 years from now, their intention is to, again, for less than 15 hours a week, be making $100,000 a year. And that was important to me because I want them to be making an amazing salary, it's not a salary, but I want them to be making an amazing income and be able to have the freedom to create whatever else they want in their life.
That's really good. And it's kind of, I was trying to pick your brain on that. The reason is I'm working on something very similar, but I'm trying to figure out the logistics. And it sounds like, I don't know, does Kajabi have that all built up, or is it more like on paper and then you sort out the ledger later?
I was inspired to invest. So I've had Kajabi for a long time. I have, and so I invested a long time ago because it was the right thing. And over the years, they've sort of changed things. But I have like the most amount of things that I can have, products and other things like that. And I have the ability, I invested a couple of years ago, they made an offer, and I took it. And so I have the ability to have all of my coaches, because they're under my business, have their own sites and their own progress, their own everything, but I can still see it and it's all under my business.
Oh, kind of like a multi-level, but not.
Yeah, but not. Yes.
I was just saying, like, it's like multi-level, but it's not.
It's not.
Okay.
It's only one level.
Right. Yeah. You just keep better tabs. That's awesome. Well, that's cool. So then what's your 2022 plans for your business and everything?
Keep doing what we're doing. I don't set big goals because I work on my future self. So 5 years from now, I know what I want that to look like. I will have 5 coaches. One of them will be making 100 grand. Somebody will be making 80, somebody making 60, 40, 20. And so I already have the path of what we have to do. We're going to write 3 more books, because I have 2 coaches that will be trained up this year. So they will write their first books. My facilitator that's already trained, she will write another book. I will write a book. We'll publish those books. We will, go on podcasts. We'll share a message. We'll just keep sharing what we do and showing up and coaching.
Interesting. So especially with COVID, because you mentioned workshops opening up again. What did you do for your workaround for workshops during the lockdown?
They were already all virtual.
Oh, hey, ahead of the game.
When I started, going back kind of the 5 years, when I started the workshop, I would do it every other month. 1 month I would do it live in Denver, and 1 month I would do it on Zoom, just like this. And I had proven, and I did it for a year, almost 2 years like that. And what I realized is there was no difference in the success of those who did it virtually versus in person. Sometimes it was maybe more fun. It was a different experience for someone if they came to Denver. But somebody who couldn't get away for their kids for a weekend, or couldn't afford the additional investment of travel at that moment, they got the same experience. They had the same success. And so it's been virtual since before COVID.
Hey, like I said, ahead of the game.
Yep.
That's awesome. So then for wow, I'm like losing it. For your one-on-one coaching, is it more Zoom, or is it like a phone call? You don't even have the video?
Usually Zoom. Okay. Unless, sometimes my clients will do coaching when they're traveling around the world. And so we turn the video off, but that's just for, connectability. But one-on-one coaching I do on Zoom as well.
Interesting. And is it just like a set rate of whatever per month you get one call with me kind of thing a week?
So I mostly only coach people who are already in my program. I will, for a significantly more investment, coach somebody who's not going through the program. But what I have learned is that if you're doing because I'm giving you every day something to do, an assignment that moves you forward, one-on-one coaching with that is better, but I will coach someone outside of the program. But if you're inside of my program, I do 15-minute sessions once a week.
Oh, 15. Okay. Yeah. Just quick and dirty, get it done. Like, cause that's what I'm thinking, and then get out.
Yeah. For me, what I found is that I work a lot with story, and not telling the story that you don't want to be true, because we're leveraging the law of attraction. And so we're telling the stories that we want to be true, and we're starving the stories that we don't want to be true. So the life we want tomorrow, we want to tell more of that story, and we want to starve any of the stories that we don't want to be true tomorrow. So when it's 15 minutes, that gives you a lot less time to tell story. You have to come with your question. And it also, from a coaching perspective, because I've done hour-long sessions, but in an hour session, I might be giving you 5 things to work on throughout the week, right? And inevitably, you only do one. So by doing 15 minutes, we can get really clear. You have to show up clear and without story in your questions. And then whatever I assign you is something simple that you can get done in a week. And it's doing those simple things that move us forward versus having a list of 5 things and only getting to one of them.
That's a good point. That's very good. A lot of like different, I guess, group calls or whatever you want to call it. They like lay out this whole perfect master plan for your next whatever amount of time. But I only usually remember the first or second task I'm supposed to do, and that's it.
Yeah. I'm actually starting, I was inspired. So, cause there's 3 to 4 group calls a week in my program. And so everybody gets to show up and they get to ask their question. And mostly you have one question per that next, and you need that question, and then you need to grow and you need to go through things and come back and have the next question. But even for, we're going to start a budgeting for attraction course. Some of my clients are feeling ready for that. And so I'm feeling ready to have it recorded so that anyone has access to it in the future that's in the group. And that's going to be 5 to 10 minutes. Literally, we come in, report on what happened last week. Here's your next little task. Like, go get that little task done, and we'll come back and we'll do the next task.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking, because it would be more of, I guess, like a round table or round robin where you could also just sit for an hour and they have to be concise, get their question out, but then they can also maybe, I guess, ask more. But that's just me. I'm just thinking, like, I'd prefer an hour. You can pick your brain longer.
Well, and that is what's awesome in a group versus when we're kind of doing this little task of budgeting for attraction. In an hour coaching call, it is amazing because somebody asks a question very often that someone else will have been thinking about, but not really been able to formulate the question. Or they're like, oh, that is what I need to know to move forward. The answer is what I needed. And so, everybody asks questions. I hear time and time again that as a group, people get more than they would get individually.
Oh, I've learned way more in my group calls with my mentor than I have. Like, he's given me a couple free one-on-ones just to get me on board. He plays the really long game when he's acquiring customers. And that was the biggest one a week ago. He would mention like, oh, you should build webinars and this and that and affiliate marketing. And I asked him today, I'm like, okay, I have questions. Webinar. How do you do a webinar? What are we supposed to do? This. And I'm just like laying into him. And he gave me all the answers. And at the end, one of the guys, he's a ex-military, he's like 60 and dude looks like he's 30 years old. It's crazy. He just said, hey, John, I do have a question to add on to Josh. He's on fire. We'll let him keep going. He's asking everything I've been wanting to ask, but too scared to say it. And I'm like, you're military. How are you scared to say stuff? So,
yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of like that story to tie it in. It's like, yeah, they learned so much in that one call because I'm like, all right, I'm being selfish. I'm picking your brain today.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's great to have someone to ask the questions, especially sometimes if you don't know what your question is yet,
100%. I'm just curious, how long do I have you? Because we had that little 15-minute hiccup.
Oh, this is my only really thing on my schedule today.
Oh, me too. Cool. So. I'm actually kind of liking it. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't run over and you're like, I had a call at 11, Josh.
Yeah, no, I'm perfect.
That's awesome. So then where can everyone get you, and what's the different links for them to come at you and be like, we saw you on the show?
Absolutely. So you can go to manifest10k.com. And there you can choose, if you want to work with me directly, you invest up front, but you can always apply and you can get started today and pay after you manifest. You can start the pre-work today, start your manifesting journey. You can put Cassie Parks into Amazon. If you want to find any of my books, Manifest 10,000. I also have 2 fiction books. So if you're looking for a fun read, it's coming up March. If you're like going on a spring break trip or something and you want to beach read, the 2 novellas, Own It and Choose Me, are very fun. And you can find me at cassieparks.com.
Awesome. And I'll be sending an email to gather all that up later. So
Awesome.
it's in the link and everything, the description. This has been an absolute honor and a pleasure. I personally learned a lot today, and
Awesome.
I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Thank you for coming.
Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're a awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.